Today, 51 years ago, my father, Max Bates, in 1975, died in my mother's arms, which would make a good movie, but unfortunately it was quite tragic because he was only 43. And I'm feeling a bit sad today, but also I had a lovely, lovely day with my mum. I took her to Paterson, where he grew up, the town near Maitland in the Hunter Valley. We love going there. She feels him. I feel him more often than that, but she feels him there. So it was pretty special, and I've been quite emotional. She's feeling sorry for me, but you've got to let it out. I'm surprised it's not come out again now, but it hasn't. Anyway, on the way to Paterson, something that's never happened to me before, I had the strangest experience. Two lorikeets flew straight in front of the car and I hit both of them. And I felt there was a car behind me, thankfully, and I turned where I could and stopped the car and went back, but the lady turned and turned again, so she was up closer and she saw one of the lorikeets actually flew off, which is great. It flew off from the ground, but we didn't know where the other one was, and as luck would have it, she's a wildlife rescuer. So we found the other one back at the car where Mum was sitting in the grill, in the front of the Mazda, like down the bottom, and it was still alive. I wasn't able to, you could only see a little bit of it, but she managed to get it out and put it in a shirt that she had in her husband's car, and she checked its wings, and it actually, its wings worked. It had a little bit of blood in its mouth, but she thinks that she might be able to save it, or if not, she will be able to give us some comfort if it does pass, but maybe it's saved. So that was quite an incredible experience. I've never hit birds before. I get upset if I even hit a butterfly. So lorikeets, and that's lorikeets you can hear where I'm having my late afternoon walk because I'm sitting a lot driving. So we went to the Paterson Tavern. I had what we always do, a glass of Bordel's sparkling Verdelho, and drank to Max Bates. It's sad for me because I was very young, and so much of my life has been lived without him and shaped my life. But he was a fun man. He had a lot of jokes, and he used to tickle me and make me laugh. And as a young kid, I used to pee my pants sometimes because I was laughing so much. Oh, the memories I have. Anyway, it shaped my relationships. Two longest relationships were with older men, the first one the same age as my dad. At the time I didn't see anything wrong with it because I thought I was in love with him. Yes, I was, I don't know. Anyway, and he'd had no kids either. So he had a kid in me and I had a father in him. Anyway, that's for another time. It's about my dad, Max. Yeah, when my dad passed in 1975, everybody had two parents and a lot more kids. A lot of big families. Weren't just one or two kids was not common, not that common. 3, 4. My aunt had 6. Oh no, 8. Sorry, 8. Yeah, that was big. They were Catholic, but yeah, and everybody had two parents. There was a girl, Sally Jewis, her mother was, I'm not sure if she was high school, I think, and maybe primary, I can't remember, but her mother was divorced and they had a lot of money. Her and her sister lived with their mother. I think her father must have given her money, but she had a full-time job as well. We thought she was fancy. This corporate woman. Anyway, so yeah, I was the only kid, apart from her, who only had one parent. Everybody else had two parents. Also, there were no overweight kids. They were all normal sized like me. Lot less pharmaceuticals and processed food in those days. And it was very rare for people to die at 43. It was rare until the last few years, actually, but we won't go there. Yeah. Nobody talked about Dad. I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral because I was too young and the adults would have been upset. So I spent years not knowing what happened. I remember getting home that night because I'd been staying with a cousin and I didn't know what the flowers were in the bath. I know where the flowers were in the coffin that they'd brought home. Put them in the bath to keep them with some water to keep them, I guess. Anyway, no one really talked about him. Again, that I remembered anyway. It's just like he was there one day and then he was gone. So it was pretty tough. I know when he went to school the next day and the teacher knew. And I'm like, how do you know? The teacher said, sorry about your father or something. And I was at school meant to be just normal, so I thought it was normal just to go to school. Anyway, and I remember when we went to my mum's church, she used to go there. She converted from Catholic to Church of England to be with my dad, to marry my dad. Because he wouldn't turn Catholic. And in those days it was a big thing, this religion stuff. And the minister guy, and my dad had never gone to church. He used to work weekends and stuff. He did shift work. He worked for the BHP. And the priest guy mentioned, whatever it was, mentioned my dad. And I was upset. I didn't like it because he didn't know him. He told all of the congregation. Anyway, I don't recall going after that. I know I was upset. I was very young. And your memory, who knows if it's correct or not, so long ago, you remember different things. Everyone has a different perspective, a different memory. Anyway, no one around, they're all in their homes watching their tellies. I'm just walking by the water. Yeah, and I remember Dad would never get a colour TVs must have come in, maybe like 1974 or something like that, and Dad wouldn't buy a new TV because there's nothing wrong with the one we had. And when he passed, I know Mum bought a colour TV, I remember that. So I wore my opal today that Mum gave me because my sister remembered that it was my dad that bought her for Mum. So it's more than 50 years old. And it's very, very special to me. So I went for a drive after we went to the cemetery and visited Shirley Bates, my aunt, one of Dad's sisters, who never married. She had dogs, she used to do show dogs, who ended up with her ribbons. She had lots of ribbons. Anyway, Shirley Bates worked at Tocal College in the kitchen, I think, for a lot of her life. Died in motor neurone disease, it was horrible. Anyway, I didn't have a lot to do with her over the later years, but nice to go. Nobody, I don't know that anyone goes and visits. It took us a while to find her grave last time. She's just got a little white cross with a bit of a plaque on it that's a bit faded, but I kind of cleaned it up last time we were there, so I found her. Mum likes that kind of thing. I had to walk because I've been sitting so long today. That lady was an angel. To imagine that, there's someone behind me and she's a wildlife rescue person taking the bird home. I don't know where she was going, but she was going home with the bird, which was really sweet.